back to my channel. I need you to listen closely, because what I'm about to say might make you uncomfortable, but it could also change the way you see love forever. Imagine this: you're 25, full of energy, desire, and curiosity about the world. And then there's him, 70, experienced, calm, a man who has lived through decades you can barely imagine. And society? Society instantly jumps to conclusions. It's wrong, it's strange, it won't last. But here's the truth no one will tell you. Age is only a number. What really matters is the connection, the chemistry, the unspoken understanding between two people. The problem isn't the age gap, it's your fear of judgment, your fear of what people might think about your choices. You see, humans have been conditioned to follow invisible rules about who we should love. And when someone breaks those rules, society panics. Let's be honest, this isn't just about love, it's about power dynamics, vulnerability, and desire. When you're with someone older, you confront your own insecurities faster than ever. Questions arise in your mind. Do I deserve him? Can I keep up? What are people going to say? And those questions aren't random. They're echoes of cultural programming designed to make you doubt yourself. But deep down, you know the real reason your heart races when he's near isn't fear. It's admiration, respect, and a magnetic pull that defies explanation. And here's the secret most people will never admit. Older men can see through facades. They know when you're pretending, when you're hiding behind bravado, when you're unsure of yourself. And that's terrifying for someone young, because it forces you to face the truth about who you are and what you want. But it's also incredibly liberating, because once you stop worrying about what society thinks, you start paying attention to the one voice that actually matters: yours. So if you're watching this and you felt that spark, that inexplicable pull towards someone decades older, don't dismiss it. Don't rationalize it. Don't pretend it's a phase. This is not about rebellion. It's about understanding attraction on a level you've never been taught to acknowledge. But here's the catch. To navigate this kind of relationship successfully, you must become aware of the psychological forces at play, both in him and in yourself. You must understand why age suddenly matters so much to everyone else, and why it might not matter at all to the two people in love. Before we dive deeper, make sure you hit the subscribe button and give this video a like. You're about to learn truths most people are too afraid to talk about, and if you stick around, I'll reveal why this connection could be far more powerful than society lets on. Let's break this down, because what you feel isn't random, and it's not shallow. There's a reason you're drawn to someone decades older. It taps into parts of your mind you probably haven't fully understood yet. When you're with an older man, you experience a type of attention most people your age can't give. It's patient, observant, and intentional. He notices the details you don't even realize you're showing. He hears the words you don't say aloud, and he sees the insecurities you try to hide. That level of awareness is intoxicating, but it can also make you feel exposed, and that's the point. He forces you to confront yourself. You may think it's all about material things, comfort, or even control, but those are just surface distractions. The real dynamic is psychological. When you're young and vibrant, you bring energy, spontaneity, and the thrill of discovery. When he's older, he brings experience, wisdom, and a grounded perspective that can either challenge you or calm you in ways you didn't know you needed. And this isn't just about attraction, it's about growth. Being with someone older can accelerate your self-awareness, your emotional intelligence, and even the way you view relationships in general. Now, here's something most people overlook. Society will try to shame you, or him, or both. They'll call it unhealthy, unbalanced, or even predatory. But think carefully. Whose standards are these? They're not yours. They're not based on your connection or your happiness. They're based on fear, judgment, and rigid ideas of what love should look like. And the moment you internalize that fear, that's when the real danger comes. Not from the relationship itself, but from your own doubt. There's also a subtle power shift at play. Some young men feel threatened, almost infantilized by an older partner. And that's a reflection of ego, not reality. The truth is, in a healthy connection, power isn't about age. It's about trust, respect, and knowing your value. When you can embrace that, when you step into your own confidence while appreciating the stability and insight he brings, something remarkable happens. The relationship becomes a mirror, a mirror that reflects not just who you are, but who you're capable of becoming. So, if you're sitting there feeling guilty, confused, or unsure about this connection, I want you to understand one thing. Your emotions are valid, and your attraction isn't a mistake. It's a signal that you're ready to explore parts of love most people are too afraid to face. But here's the challenge. Navigating this kind of relationship requires honesty, courage, and the ability to separate your own insecurities from the truth of what's happening between you. Now let's talk about fear, because fear is the silent enemy in every age gap relationship. Not his fear, not yours, but the fear that society implants into your mind before you even realize it. People will whisper, judge, or openly criticize. She's too young. He's too old. It won't last. And even if you try to ignore it, those voices creep in, planting doubt where there should only be clarity. The problem isn't the relationship itself, it's how you internalize these judgments. Every time you hesitate, every time you apologize for your feelings, you give that fear power over your happiness. Let me be brutally honest, the attraction you feel is a lightning strike. It's immediate, raw, and undeniable. And the more society screams wrong, the more you question yourself. But here's the truth. Few people are brave enough to say, resistance from the outside world often validates the intensity of your connection. It's not easy, it never is, but every relationship worth having challenges the world's narrow definitions of love. That tension, that push and pull between desire and judgment is what sharpens your self-awareness. It's what forces you to confront your boundaries, your values, and your willingness to fight for what matters. There's also the internal struggle. You might catch yourself thinking, am I too naive? Or, can I handle this? These doubts are natural. They're not weaknesses. They're reflections of the gravity of the relationship. When someone older enters your life, you're forced to examine not just your feelings, but your maturity, your patience, and your emotional resilience. It's an unspoken test of character. The question isn't whether the relationship is perfect, it's whether you can navigate complexity without losing yourself. And here's where most people fail. They let fear dictate their actions. They withdraw, overthink, or try to rationalize the impossible. But emotional courage, real emotional courage, comes from leaning in, from understanding that love isn't supposed to be simple. It's supposed to challenge you, to scare you, to push you toward growth you didn't even know you needed. If you survive the judgment, the whispers, the self-doubt, you discover a deeper connection, one that transcends age, opinion, and societal expectations. So, if you've been caught between desire and fear, it's time to choose. Choose clarity. Choose self-honesty. Choose to confront every uncomfortable thought and ask yourself, is my fear coming from reality, or is it coming from the world telling me what I should feel? The answer will determine everything about how this relationship unfolds and whether you can fully embrace the love that's standing in front of you. Now, let's explore something that most people completely miss: the subtle, almost invisible dynamics of desire and respect in these kinds of relationships. When a young woman is with an older man, or in this case, when you're the younger partner, you're not just sharing time together. You're exchanging energy, wisdom, and insight in ways that can transform both of you. He's seen life at a depth most people your age can't even imagine. That experience isn't just attractive, it's magnetic. It challenges you to grow emotionally, intellectually, and even spiritually. But here's the catch: attraction alone isn't enough. For this kind of relationship to thrive, respect has to be the foundation. And respect isn't something he gives automatically, nor is it something you demand. It's something you both earn through honesty, consistency, and emotional maturity. When you start to truly understand each other's perspectives, why he's the way he is, why you respond the way you do, that's when the connection transforms from mere infatuation into a partnership that can withstand scrutiny, judgment, and even life's unexpected storms. There's also a hidden power in patience. Many young partners make the mistake of rushing the relationship, trying to prove themselves or bending to fit what they think he wants. But a man who has lived 7 decades doesn't need to be convinced of your value. He sees it, and he responds to authenticity. Your impatience, insecurity, or need for validation will always be obvious. And the moment you understand that, you gain an invisible edge. You stop performing, you stop pretending, and you start being real. And that realness, it's intoxicating, even to someone who has seen it all before. At the same time, this isn't about being passive or letting him lead every step. It's about balance. You bring the vitality, curiosity, and spontaneity. He brings guidance, stability, and insight. Together you form a dynamic most people don't understand, and that's why they judge. But their judgment doesn't matter. What matters is whether you can sustain mutual respect, clear communication, and the courage to confront both your vulnerabilities and his. Finally, understand this. The intensity of this connection is not a warning, it's a signal. It's telling you that love doesn't follow timelines, rules, or societal expectations. It's rare, but when it exists, it demands attention. It demands growth. It demands honesty. And if you rise to that challenge, the reward isn't just romance. It's a deeper understanding of yourself, of desire, and of what it truly means to connect with another human being beyond the constraints of age, judgment, or fear. At this point, you need to hear this clearly. Love like this isn't ordinary, and it will never feel ordinary. It isn't meant to be easy, and it isn't meant to make sense to anyone else. When you're 25 and he's 70, you're not just crossing decades, you're crossing assumptions, expectations, and fears that society has drilled into every one of us. And that tension, that invisible pressure, is what sharpens your emotional instincts. It forces you to ask questions most people avoid. What do I truly want? What kind of love am I capable of giving? Who am I when no one else is watching? Here's the raw truth. Every relationship worth having will challenge you in ways you can't anticipate. And in an age-gap relationship, those challenges are magnified. You will confront your insecurities, your ego, and your deepest fears of judgment. But you will also discover resilience, emotional depth, and a clarity about yourself that only intense experiences can provide. The fear you feel when others judge you isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's proof that you're doing something extraordinary. It's also critical to understand boundaries. Love like this requires emotional discipline. It requires that you recognize when to lean in, when to step back, and when to communicate honestly, even when it feels uncomfortable. Respect for his experience, respect for your own autonomy, and respect for the connection itself. These are non-negotiable. Without them, even the most magnetic chemistry can crumble under pressure. But with them, the connection becomes almost untouchable, resistant to gossip, doubt, and fear. And here's the final point you must internalize. Don't let anyone define what your love should look like. The world will have opinions, warnings, and advice, but those are distractions. The only opinions that matter are yours and his, because only the two of you live inside the reality of this relationship. If it feels real, if it feels alive, if it challenges you and nurtures you at the same time, then it is exactly what it's supposed to be. So as you walk away from this video, remember this. Love doesn't conform to rules. It doesn't wait for the right age. It doesn't bow to judgment. And when it comes to something this rare and powerful, fear is the only thing standing between you and a connection that could change your life forever. Choose courage. Choose authenticity. Choose to honor what your heart recognizes, even if the world refuses to understand.